Welcome back to another Omni Garage video, and a special shout out to everyone who is new to the channel, who subscribed through the delivery video of the Tesla Model Y that we did only 5 days ago. So as promised, what we're going to do today is just walk through some of the accessories that I consider must-haves for any Tesla Model Y, and actually any Tesla Model 3 as well. Most of these are carryover between the two models. Now there's a few accessories that I would like to pick up in addition to these. They'd probably be not what I'd call must-haves or essentials, they'd be the nice-to-haves, but we'll talk about some of those as we actually go through what we've got here to install today. So for those of you who haven't watched the previous video, this here is a 2022 Tesla Model Y. We changed over from the Tesla Model 3, which we owned for the last 9 to 10 months, into this one here, specifically to have some more space. But we'll address some of the pros and cons around that in a separate upcoming video. Today is more specific around some of the accessories that we've got. So what we'll do, let's shoot around the back and we'll install the first one here. I think this is essential if you want to keep the interior clean, your carpets. We'll shoot around the back and I'll show you what this is. Okay, so with the Tesla Model Y, what you've got in the back here, you've got a really decent cargo area, but obviously it's carpeted. Now, I do not think this is practical at all if you're going to use the car and you're going to carry anything in here, even if it's really light use. I think that you need something to cover this. Now, Tesla have two options here. You can either go for a rubber liner, which has a lip, which kind of contains a mess in there as well. So you could put something wet on there and it's going to contain it within that mat. They also have an option where there's like a textile mat that you can get as well. I think that one there is a lot lighter duty. I didn't go with that one. I went with the rubber mat, and purely the reason I did that was so I could not worry about anything that gets thrown in the back here, that it's going to leak through, get into the carpets here. I like to keep these pristine, so that's what this box here is. We'll tear into it. And what I probably typically do, if you are going to buy one of these, you probably want to open it and put something heavy on it in your house for at least a few days, because obviously it comes rolled up, so it's going to take a while to conform to the shape of the boot here. But essentially, pretty simple. You've got a just a large rubber mat with a lip around it. And that,
does it come with like Tesla embossed on it?
Not that I can see actually.
Because a lot of cars they have like, you know.
So we've got a sticker, made in the USA, that's nice. That's surprising.
Doesn't have like Tesla logo.
No, it doesn't. The Model 3 did. The Model 3 across here had Model 3 embossed into it, so the Model Y mat does not. And key here as well, this is not carryover from the Model 3. So if you've got a Model 3 and you're upgrading, you're going to need to get a new mat, because this obviously doesn't.
I see what you mean by with it rolled up.
Yeah,
that's going to be a pain for a little bit.
So what I did when the Model 3 mat arrived, I sat this in the living room and I just put a few heavy things in each corner of it, left it for a few days in order to just conform a little bit. This is going to keep rolling like this. So what will be key here is that we just put some cargo in the boot.
Stretch it out and does it fit?
Stretch it out. But yeah, so if we, let's add a couple of bits in here. What else have we got? We might need to bring another accessory through.
It looks like it's too long. Or have you not got it squished right the way back?
Might not be squished all the way back there. Because it needs to be pushed harder up into the corner there, right? And that's that little lip.
But it doesn't fit perfectly there, does it? What does it mean? Is it meant to overhang?
I think it's meant to overhang a little bit to protect this.
That's a bit dumb. I would have thought that that would have matched directly up with that.
Yeah.
Unless is that meant to?
Is this meant to fold back actually?
Maybe that's how.
And then it gets pushed harder up. I think that's it.
Does that look better?
There we go. That's better, isn't it? That sits a bit nicer.
Sits a bit nicer.
That bit needs to go too.
There you go.
There we go.
So it does. So that sort of acts like a barrier around the whole sides, I suppose, that little lip there. So if you fold that lip back up, then you can get flush fitment
on the back of the seat
with that carpet along there.
Now what you don't have a lip on the corner here, which you probably don't want, because you're going to be hitting that as you go in and out here. So I'm pretty happy with that fitment there. we're going to need to keep some weight on that for a few days before that actually conforms to the shape of the boot. But I think that's key, because you can throw anything in here now, you're not going to damage your carpet. You can put something wet in there, it's not going to leak through. That there is a key accessory for me, number one. The next piece to the puzzle is the front of the car. So we've got the rear protected. We need to have a look at the front now, which isn't carpet lined, but it is a hard plastic. So we'll pop open the front. An interesting note on the Tesla Model Y, this is actually quite a bit larger than the Model 3. It's a lot deeper, so you can actually fit a bit more cargo in here. But what you've got on the inside of the front, as I said, is hard plastic. And what I don't want to do is scratch this up. It is pretty durable, but I want to keep this looking really nice and pristine. Again, Tesla have a few different options for this. You can go with a rubber mat, you can go with a carpet mat, but the way that I've traditionally used this on the Model 3 is if I bought takeaways, let's say I've gone and bought some fish and chips, I don't want to smell out the interior of the car, which is something that you would do on the Model Y, given it's a hatchback. Basically, there's no confined compartments on the boot, everything's all open. So this here is where I put my my takeaways, and I wouldn't want that, again, I wouldn't want grease leaking through to a carpet mat. So what we've got to go in here, it's one of the more affordable accessories from Tesla as well, is a front liner. So same material as the boot, it's like rubber lined, you've got some ridges on there, and this one here essentially just sits inside there. Now it doesn't sit very nicely on the inside lip. Obviously it doesn't go that way, just to show you. It falls in this way, so the back sits quite nicely, but it just doesn't conform quite right around there, which is a little bit odd to me, that it wouldn't just run a straight line across. Nevertheless, I think that there is something that you do want to buy, because no matter what you're going to put in there, you are going to start to scratch up this here. Covers up the toe hook.
There will be a bit of a settling period with that plastic stuff.
Yeah, there
will mold eventually, but
I mean, I would probably expect that to fit a lot nicer from factory.
Yeah.
Because to me, if I hold that up, what are we going to do? We're not going to fix out this curve or this curve, because that's in the design of this. So it really needed to be designed like the back piece on here. It fits, but to me, that's not the fit and finish that you'd expect factory. Maybe an aftermarket accessory, but I think that there, even though the fitment isn't fantastic, I think it is a key accessory if you're going to use the front. And I know a lot of people do put wet togs, you know, your umbrellas. As I said, I use this for takeaways. I think it's pretty key to have that protected, because number one, it gives you some protection against the scratches, but I think it gives you a little bit of grip in there as well for things not sliding around.
And if you drop something in there and something breaks in there, then you can pull that plastic liner out and you can clean it really easily.
Yep. So that can come out, you can hose it off, you can scrub that down, pop that back in there, and you're good to go. Now, as far as exterior accessories to the car go, you do have a few options of things that you can buy for this. One of them is a tow hitch. Now, that's a pretty expensive option here in New Zealand. It's about $2,300. It's not quite available now. You can get roof racks as well for this, and there is actually a mounting system as well for you to put bikes on the back of the car, but none of those in my mind are essential. What is essential, and the reason it's essential, is to protect from all of this. We've had this car for 5 days, we've driven about 500 kilometers. Now, not all of this has been kicked off those front wheels. The weather has been atrocious over the past week, but a lot of this can be avoided by fitting something that should have been fitted to this car from factory: mud flaps. What we've got today for the Model Y is just a one-piece mud flap. So you've got hard plastic on the top here. This is more of a
pliable type plastic?
Yeah, it's more of a like rubbery material there.
Oh no, you've scratched them.
That's right, we'll get some coating on there, some CSL Exo, that will tidy that up. Durability test, we're gonna have rocks flying into there very shortly, so I think my scratches from my fingernails aren't gonna do too much. But I imagine that the way that would sit would be
other way.
So that's for the other side of the car.
So the Model 3 came with two different options, whereas this is just giving you one option.
Yeah, so the Model 3 came with one where you had your main clips that went onto the car, and then you could clip an extension on it which brought it lower. Now this here is probably about in the middle in terms of the coverage it gives you, because I think the Model 3 was probably to about here on the summer ones, and then probably brought you down maybe a little bit lower than this on the winter. So I guess the nice thing here is you're going to fix these and not need to change or amend them depending on the season, but that's just not what I expected really. I expected this to come out just like the Model 3s. Obviously Tesla have refined how they produce these and how they think these should come with the car, but I think they should come with the car. I don't think this should be an optional accessory on an $80,000 vehicle. But essentially the way that would work is you've got the clips here which fit behind this bit here, and then you would remove the two clips on the inside of the wheel well there. I will install this once the car's been cleaned. I don't want to put that on there. I want to coat these as well before that happens. But the way that this would look is that would clip behind there, and essentially that would be your fitment. So you've probably got maybe about 4 to 5 inches where whatever your wheels are kicking up, it's not going to throw it into the vehicle there. And I think this is something that you need, because as you can see from the body of the car here, particularly this front.
Move around the other side and we'll show them from the front on. So
that's your front on look there. So it doesn't come out and cover the full, the full fitment of the wheel there. So you are still going to have some that would throw around, but really the point of this is to make sure that anything kind of coming off the outside piece of the wheel is not getting kicked up the side of your Model Y. These will take about 10 minutes to install, but I think that it's something that you want to make sure the car's nice and clean. And if you do have access to some ceramic coating, I coat these both sides before you put them on the car. Keeps them really easy to maintain because these do collect a lot of road grime. Okay, so for this Model Y, I only bought one interior accessory, and I think that again, this is a must-have. So what you've got on the Model 3 here is 2 storage bins in the center console area. You've got your traditional armrest, which when you raise that, you've got a tunnel which extends probably about here, so just short of where these cup holders are, and it's quite deep and angled in there. So anything that you put in there does tend to fall and collect at the bottom. So what we've got here is essentially 2 storage bins. Now they're felt lined, they do pick up a lot of lint, so I find that these are something that you're going to want to vacuum out quite regularly and keep nice and clean. But the way that this works is on the back here, you've got a little channel where you can then sit the bin. So that there gives you some accessible storage on the top. And what I find is that anything that you're not touching too regularly, you place in the bottom. So for me, that would be the likes of a pocket knife, microfiber cloth as well that I'd use to clean the screen. And then I can sit that on the top, and it just gives me really easy access to a few bits and pieces in there without having to fish underneath in the armrest. Same goes on the front here. So when you open this, you've got a lot of storage in here, and it's very deep again. So depth-wise, I think it's the same as the Model 3. It goes pretty much down to here at the bottom there. Quite nice that Tesla threw something in for free. You do have a little rubber liner that sits in the bottom of that area. But again, it's really deep, so to be reaching in there, and it's one big bin, it's not very easy to divide your stuff up in there. You do have, again, a little rail, and then you're able to pop this piece in there. And if that came like that, you honestly wouldn't know that there was anything under there, but what you can do is slide it forward on the rail, and then you get access to the bottom of the bin there. I think that that is indispensable. I keep things in there like the garage door opener. I don't really like having that sitting up on the top of the car. I think that having it accessible here without having to reach your arm way down into this tunnel is super handy, and those are really affordable. Those are $35 for the set of both of these here in New Zealand. A lot of third-party manufacturers make these as well. Haven't seen any of those previously. I think that for fit and finish, this is all I know, they fit perfectly in here. Unlike the boot liner, these are fantastic. They sit just like they're designed to in that area. And as I said, you wouldn't know that there was a bin that went deeper in there if these shipped factory with this car. Now this isn't an accessory, this is an essential to operate this car. Traditionally, what's happened with Tesla is they've come with this. This is the mobile connector kit. So essentially, it's a plug that you plug into your normal electrical outlet. You plug it in the charge port of the car, and it essentially keeps you moving while you're at home. Now, they're relatively slow. I know that here in New Zealand, plugged into a 240 volt outlet, and we're charging at about 8 amps, which is giving us about 2 kilowatts per hour worth of charge. Now what's frustrating is that this has traditionally been something that was included with the purchase price of your vehicle, as it should be, right? Without this, you're a little bit stuck unless you can frequent a supercharger. Now, as of about July, if you place an order for any Tesla, this does not come for free. Now there's a tick box option on the Tesla configurator. Would you like to add a mobile connector for 600 New Zealand dollars? Or would you like to add a Tesla wall connector for $800? I was lucky enough that when we placed the order for the Model Y, that wasn't an option. At that point in time, this was still included. Now, I wasn't sure if this was actually going to be in the boot of the vehicle, hence why in the delivery video I said it was really nice that this was included. But if you went and ordered a vehicle today, you don't get either of these. You need to choose, am I paying 600 for this, 800 for this, or am I getting both? To be honest, I think you want both. So this is the way I'm charging at the moment. As I said, it's slow. So you probably add about 12 kilometers worth of range per hour charging with this. With the Tesla wall connector, you're able to charge and add about 71 kilometers per hour. Obviously, it's all depending on the ampage as well that you're getting. There are a few variables in there, but I think this is essential. If you had the option between both of these and you could only spring out for one, I think this is the one that you want. This is a nice to have. Now, what this is a wall connector. So this is something that needs to be installed by an electrician. It goes on the wall in your garage. It can go outside as well. It is waterproof. And what this does is it gives you somewhere to charge your vehicle when you pull into the garage at night. I think this one here is still nice to have, because what I'll do with this, when this is installed on the wall in my house, this is the one that we'll use pretty much 99% of the time, but I'll leave this stored in the car. And if we go and do a road trip and we park somewhere with access to a normal electrical outlet, this will be a nice to have, because we can't guarantee that we can always get access to a charging network here in New Zealand. Superchargers are few and far between, destination chargers again few and far between, and with cars like this becoming so much more popular, the non-Tesla specific charge network as well is going to start getting busier and busier. So I think you want this in your garage, fork out the money for that, and then unfortunately if you're ordering a Tesla today, you're going to have to fork out the money for this as well, but I reckon that you want this sitting in your car just for those emergency situations.
Can we have a look inside the box?
Yeah, we sure can. We'll crack into there and show you what this one looks like. I want to come over the top here. It's actually packaged quite nicely in there, kind of like an Apple
really
product.
Cool, eh?
So the way that this works is this here will sit on the wall. In our case, it's going to be the wall in the garage. What's really cool about this as well, while this is quite an expensive accessory, you can buy an accessory for the accessory. So let's say you've gone with a different color Model 3 than a white. They sell these glass faceplates in all the different colours of the car.
It's like a little skin that can go over the top.
It is, and it's like a glass material on there. So if you went and bought the red car, you can have a matching red charger. You do have to fork out here in New Zealand $160 in order to change that. But what's quite nice as well is you know that if something happened to that, you dropped it. I don't know why you drop it; it'd be on your wall. But if something happened to that, you can replace it.
That's kind of like the Tesla factory white. That looks quite cool.
It is.
Right there.
I think that's going to look pretty cool in the garage.
I would spend the $200 to get that over the other one.
Yeah, I think that this is the one you want.
Yeah, there's a little cost of having an electrician to install it and things like that, but that looks way nicer, having that on the wall than having that other thing curled up and plugged in and then a cord running along the carpet in your garage.
Now, you've still got the cord on here, so you've still got the mobile connector. This has got a 7.1 metre cord on it.
Presumably you can install that on the back of that unit.
You can, so you could wrap it around it. Yeah. Tesla also do sell some other accessories to actually hang it.
And you can sort of hang it up like a fuel pump type thing, right?
You can. So this is the, yes you can. So it just sits into the side here, which is really nice. Nice way to store it. This is the Model 3. Not the Model 3, this is the Generation 3 wall connector. There's also the Generation 2. And I understand if you buy the Generation 2, it comes with a shorter cable, so I think about a 2.6 or 2.7 metre cable. So if you're always going to be charging in a garage, you may want to go with that option just to have less slack on your cord. Doesn't look quite as nice as this one though. This is the latest generation, and I think if you could only get one of these and you are going to be charging in your garage the majority of the time, spend the extra money, go ahead and get one of these. But lucky enough, that one came with the car, so we're going to have the best of both worlds. So in my opinion, those are the must-have genuine accessories that you should buy if you've got a new Tesla Model Y, and all of these carry across to the Model 3 as well. Not specifically, Your things like your charger, yep, that's going to be the same between the two models. The center console organisers will be the same as well. The variances will be the mats for the front and the boot, and then also those mud flaps. So those are the essentials, and then we move into some of the ones that I wouldn't consider essentials, hence why I haven't bought them yet, but I really would like to add to this vehicle. Now, one of those accessories that I think would be a nice to have, although it is relatively expensive, it's 400 New Zealand dollars. You've got your, what do you call these? Side skirts?
They're little side skirt, yeah, protectors though.
Yeah, so they're like door sills.
They're garnish for door sills or garnish for side skirts.
Now, I think this looks really nice. It's quite stealth. It is going to get quite damaged, I think, if you're standing on that.
Does that light up?
It doesn't, but the accessory that you can buy, they're called illuminated door sills.
Oh yeah.
So you pop these out, there must be some kind of electrical connection underneath there, and what happens is the Model Y text on there will illuminate when you go and open the door. So not a must-have, but I think if you've got the money to splash on that, I think that's a really nice touch, and something that you do see on quite a few modern luxury vehicles these days. Is something that you can add on to the car here. Now, something else that I think would be nice to have, and again, I'm quite confused why Tesla aren't shipping the Model Y with these. When you open the boot in a hatchback, traditionally what you would have is basically a cargo cover. I think they're called like a parcel shelf or a cargo cover, something that is retractable to cover whatever you're storing in the back.
And they typically just sit within those rails there, you know, they come along there and around the back there and around the front, and then when you open your boot up, they sort of go up with it.
They do.
And so then when you close it, it comes back down again.
Clip on here. Now, I find that really confusing that Tesla haven't included this with this car. I understand that is an accessory that you can buy, but not in New Zealand. Where I'm a bit confused is I don't know where in here it would affix to. I can't see any specific rails that it would attach to. But I think that's something that you do want to have for a hatchback, especially if you're going to be carrying cargo around in here and do want to.
Well, it also acts a little bit of privacy to cover up the contents of your boot, right?
Yeah, I mean, luckily you do have privacy glass on the back of the Tesla Model Y. So look, I think if you come up to here, it is pretty hard to see anything in there, to be honest. You'd struggle unless you put your face up against the glass, or if it was a really sunny day, you might be able to be a little bit further back. But I think that's something that you do want on here. As soon as that is available in New Zealand, it's something that I would look to add to this, if it can be done, because I can't actually see any rails in there. Now, the other accessory that I don't consider must have, but I think it is a nice to have on this, I won't be doing it on this one here because I do have a vehicle that can tow. But if you have a look at the rear of the car here, you can see that you do have access to this panel here. Actually pops out. Now what you can do is you can buy a tow attachment on this here, or a tow kit. I believe it does need to be installed by a Tesla service center. It's not something that they ship out to you. I believe they ship it to the service center. You need to take your car in to have it added. But what it does is it gives you the ability to tow with your Model Y, and you can tow up to 1,600 kilos as well. So it's not quite what you'd be towing with a Ford Ranger or a Hilux, but it means that you can get some more versatility out of the car here. And I know a lot of people have been doing aftermarket installs on the Model 3 here, specifically in New Zealand. So it's just nice to know that it's something you can buy directly from Tesla, which in turn will not affect any warranty you have. Now, just shooting back into the boot really quickly here. There is another accessory that you can buy, which I didn't think that we would need. Now I've actually seen what the boot looks like, I think it's something that I do want to pick up. Now what it is, essentially it's a storage bin that slips down the side here, because what you can see is the Model Y versus the Model 3, this goes down quite a way here. So what I think that would be quite handy for is to store things like dirty shoes. Essentially it's made out of the same material as this. It slips in there and you can pull it out. So
kind of like those bins that are on the front there, right?
Very similar to the bins in the front. So I mean it's big, right? Because right here, so I've got some interior cleaner, and it'd be nice to be able to store that down there and know that if that was to leak, it's going to leak into something that's rubber lined that I can take out and clean. But I also think it's really handy. Again, you might have some wet togs or a wet towel. You can slip it down the side there. When you get home, you can pull that out and you can wash it out if need be. So I think that is something that I would call a must-have accessory for this. Wasn't able to buy it because it wasn't in stock at the time, and I didn't realize quite how deep these compartments were, but that's something that I will be looking to order at some point soon. So there's a really quick look at the Model Y accessories that we have bought to date on this car. What we'll be doing shortly is making another video installing those mud flaps, because I think that's something that that'll be just interesting to document the install. Should be a fairly simple one. But look, thank you for watching. Thank you to all the new subscribers over the last video. If you've got any specific questions about the Model Y, about the Tesla Model 3, which we previously owned, or just owning a Tesla in general, feel free to drop a comment below. We've got a lot of comments on the last video that we're going to start working our way through, a lot of different things that people want to know. So make sure you stay tuned. A lot of content up and coming. And I think one of the next ones is going to be the differences that you may not know between the Tesla Model 3 and the Model Y. Obviously, you know the size differences, etc., but there are a lot of differences in this car that I wasn't expecting to see. So I'll showcase some of that in an upcoming video. But otherwise, make sure to hit the subscribe button to stay tuned for that, and we will see you guys in the next video.